all the major cities of the world are located on the coast. Out of 37 mega cities, each with a population of 10 million plus, 24 are in the coastal areas. And there are large coastal areas which are not urban settlements, there are rural settlements also. In fact, UN statistics shows that nearly 50% of the world population, they are living within 150 kilometers from the coastline. And the coastal areas also affect their lives on a daily basis.
The climate variability and change, when we talk about it, or ecosystem management, it will not depend on urban or rural. It is an extended space that has to be taken up together. But there is no mechanism. In the planning system, we have rural entities at different, we have urban local bodies that look at the municipal corporation and the development authorities that look at their own issues. And so there is no integration. So the larger space is neglected. And when the urban development is taking place, it does not look at the region beyond. So the peripheries, the rural areas surrounding are impacted. They become more vulnerable because of the development that is happening upstream or downstream.
The changing climate makes our ecosystem more vulnerable. As it's already explained, the sea level rise, seawater intrusion, coastal flooding, salt water intrusion, inundation of coastlands. We Kochi face all the above said problems, and it's said that if the sea level rises like this, after 25-30 years, Kochi will be under water.
So mangroves, as you all know, is a very important measure. You can say important instrument for climate change adaptation. People say the carbon sequestration potential of mangroves is 6 times more. Say some people say 10 times more. Some people say 100 times more than that of the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. So if that is the case, we should be first preserving our mangroves more than anything else, because the mangroves that are there, which have been in existence for maybe millions of years, they have sequestered carbon, and sediment after sediment, that carbon is lying buried. Now, if you remove mangrove for some development project, all this carbon is going to be released. So any adaptation measure that you do is really going to be more than neutralized, not neutralized, but more than negatively affected by the loss of mangroves.
It's a huge population. It impinges on their livelihoods, it impinges on their social security, and also it plays a major role in the economy of the country. A huge amount of seafood is exported, bringing in crores worth of foreign exchange to the country. Every year we have been increasing our fish production, assuming that the fisheries resources are infinite, but that's not the case. Fisheries resources are finite. In the last 1 decade or so, we have jumped from approximately 6 million metric tons to now 10 million metric tons. Well, this is a laudable achievement, but if you look at the qualitative aspects of the fisheries, the sizes are going down, the returns are getting reduced every year. I think we need a lot of management and governance interventions in ensuring that the fisheries resources are sustainable and they are also available for posterity.
There's around 3,000 fishing hamlets on the mainland of India. That's one, and mainland India has around 6,000 kilometers roughly. So that's one fishing hamlet every 2 kilometers. Yeah, these are people who do not have land rights. The tenure on which they live in is highly uncertain. Now today tribals have land rights and land access by law. Now this is a major issue because we did a project on mapping ports in India. Totally how many notified ports, planned, existing, or yet to be developed, or notified to be developed. So they were around 200 odd, so we did roughly a GIS based work of where are these located, and there was a planned port, either a port or a planned port coming up every 26 kilometers of the coast. The reason is it's a cheap land grab. People don't have rights. When you don't have land rights and your tenure is uncertain, such kind of development can happen. So I think addressing land rights is one big issue for coastal communities, fishing communities specifically.
As you can guess, ocean can provide us electricity by differentiation of the temperature. I'm not going into the detail, but no fuel consumption, no CO2 emission, and stable output. And as compared with in Japanese the situation, as compared with the PV solar, wind, OTEC, Look at that availability factor, 90 to 97%.